yoga, wine. Welcome to my podcast. I'm Valerie Hale. 5 tools for relationship conflict resolution. Matt Boggs introduces us to the concept of fair fighting. What's cool about fair fighting is that you can use this in the workplace, with your supervisor, obviously with our spouses, in any relationship, even with our children. Napoleon Hill says, riches cannot always be equated with money. Riches can actually be the worth and the growth of our deepening relationships. Relationships of all kinds can be enriched when you learn how to dissolve toxic behavior. And that's what Matt discusses in his program. He discusses how to establish at the beginning boundaries, and they are rules for fair fighting. I was very lucky. Many years ago, I had a great therapist, and she taught me these rules of fair fighting. Now, it does take some work to get someone else engaged and committed, but it's really worth it, and it is really hard work up front. Conflict is natural. We're going to have conflict in the workplace. We're definitely going to have conflict with our children. And of course, we have conflict with our spouse or our significant other. But if you use these 5 tools, and I'm only going to discuss 3 today, if you use these 5 tools, you're going to really grow a lot. And some of it's painful. The first one is, and remember, this is toxic behavior. The first one is name calling. And it sounds like this. You are so stupid. You are a jerk. What an idiot. That's horrible. That's toxic. We've all been there, though. Either we've learned this when we were growing up, or we have just installed it in our system. And one of the ways to stop that is, I've talked to you folks before about deep breathing and to relinquish the drama in our lives and stop yourself. Just say, wait a minute. That is toxic behavior. No name calling. We want to resolve this. We want this to be a win-win. The second step of toxic behavior is labeling. And that is similar to name calling, but it sounds like this. You are just like your father. That's why you can't get ahead. Or your behavior is just like the guys you hang out with. You're never going to be anything more than them. You're always going to be a loser. Yeah, don't do that. Let's not label people. Again, it's like name calling. We've learned that probably at a young age. And we're seeing it a lot in our environment today. Stop name calling, stop labeling, and think to yourself, all right, how do I want to be treated in this situation? Take those deep breaths. Envision a harmonious outcome. And I know that sounds woo-woo, and that sounds like wimpy, but it's really important for us to deepen our relationships, especially in the workplace, especially with our young children, where they're hearing a lot of negativity. The labeling doesn't work. Think to yourself, now how do I want this situation to come out? And also ask yourself, when you're in a difficult conflict, what can I do in this situation to calm down and not label someone as a loser? What would that look like? Well, turn it at 360 and ask them, how would you like for me to help you in this situation? Perhaps they're always late getting to dinner or for a date. Ask them, how would you like for us to improve this? And the third one I'm going to discuss out of the 5 is sarcasm. And it sounds like this. Oh, sure, you're really working on getting this resolved. I see it right now. You're sitting in front of the television. Maybe you're at the office and it's a big project and you see the guy or the woman is on the computer playing solitaire, and you look up and you see it's a time frame, and then you go, oh yeah, you're really committed to our team making progress. Don't use sarcasm. Instead say, is there something I can help you with to make you feel as though this is as important to you as it is to our team? Ask a question. Gay Hendricks, in my last podcast, that's what he teaches us. Stay in the question. And they are basic. It sounds like this. I wonder. Or when you're name calling, or you feel like name calling, say, I must have a need to call this person a jerk. Ask yourself what to do in those situations. So those are 3 tips to learn to learn how to do fair fighting. Kundalini Yoga. Our Prakash is my virtual teacher, and she is doing a really cool class tomorrow. All this is going to be in the notes for my podcast, and it's about embracing change. It's also about the full blood moon lunar eclipse. I had to write that down. It was tricky. So it's the full blood moon lunar eclipse from 9 to 11. What is special about Kundalini Yoga, and it's the only yoga I've ever studied, I am a snob. What's special about, especially Hara Prakash's classes, is she involves the gong. It's this huge brass or maybe copper gong, and when you allow yourself to relax and embrace the Kundalini teachings, when she plays the gong, I swear you go into a little bit of a trance. And it's like a little tiny nap for 1 minute, and you wake up so refreshed and so revived. And if you haven't noticed, I always do a segue from the wealth segment, which is always about a mindset, and it's always a way to improve your mental capacity and your thoughts. I always try to make a segue into Kundalini Yoga. And that's why I would love to see people invoke both of these teachings, even if it's once a week, because it sends you onto an orbit of success quickly than taking years of psychology. Her whole aspect tomorrow during the class is called Embrace Change, and we're there, folks. Wine. I'm also a wine snob. I have taught French wine. I've sold French wine for over 25 years. I wanted to suggest 3 summer whites. One is GrunerVeltliner, and that is the grape that's in it. It's from Austria. It is not one of my favorite wines. However, I feel as though it is a little bit of an acquired taste, only because it has very strong minerality. It is very crisp. It is very clean. It has almost an iron taste to me, a little unusual. As far as the food that it would go with, because it does have that kind of earthy iron taste to it. I love grilling. I love grilled mushrooms. I'm also a vegetarian. I love grilled mushrooms. I love grilled eggplant. It would go great with caponata. It would go great with your lighter meats. Even though I'm a vegetarian, I can talk to you about meats. But it is the kind of wine that I feel you actually need to have with food. It's not what I would call a quaffer. A GrunerVeltliner from Austria, they are probably about $17 to $19 nowadays. You might be able to find a good one also for $14 to $15. It is a great food wine, though. And the second was Picpoul du Pinet. And I love saying the name Picpoul du Pinet. It is French. And this is what we would call a patio pounder, because it's a quaffer. It's very easy to drink. This you can have by itself, but because it's a more light-bodied wine, I would have caprese with it, the mozzarella and fresh basil and fresh tomatoes. You can have it with all kinds of salads. It's just an easy one to drink, a little quaffer. And now with the Picpoul du Pinet, you can easily get one for about $12. You might get one for around $15, but it's very easy to drink by itself, and it's perfect with your lighter meals, some more of a salad type of wine. The last one is a Riesling from J.J. Prum. It's German. J.J. Prum makes the most exquisite Rieslings. I call them heaven in a bottle. If you have never tried a Riesling from J.J. Prum, put put some money down and get a Riesling. They have several different styles of Riesling. Many of us are used to the sweeter wines, which involves residual sugar. However, find one that either says semi-dry or dry, because these are the easier styles to drink. Because JJ Prum is very rich and unctuous, you can have this with all kinds of food. I do like it with a scallop dish. You can have this with lobster. I don't eat lobster because I feel sorry for them. But also, it's a richer style. And even though it is going to be high in residual sugar, it will lend itself to your lighter meats. It likes cream sauces. You could do an Alfredo sauce. That would be fun too. To wrap this up, fair fighting. This is perfect for any relationship you're in. And I also believe it's important to teach our children no name calling, no labeling, no sarcasm. And you really have to learn this at a young age, but really put it into gear as far as your own self and realize it's going to take practice. Wayne Dyer says that every argument is a race to being a victim. Actually, that's good. Wayne Dyer says conflict can't survive without your participation. When you're trying these out, you may be the only one who's following the rules of boundary, but keep at it and people will go, gosh, we got that resolved quickly. Kundalini Yoga, there's going to be a great class tomorrow. It'll be in my podcast notes. And get involved with her classes. Howard Prakash, it's all virtual. And this one is $25, but it's really worth it and it's really special. And lastly, those 3 coiffer wines for summer, the GrunerVeltliner Picpoul du Pinet and the Riesling from JJ Prum are exquisite. I am not a life coach. I am not a consultant. I do these podcasts every week and to improve hundreds of people's lives through just 3 simple topics in under 10 minutes. Merci, au revoir.